Hey guys.
Yo!
Welcome back to Nakama. It feels good to be back.
We're Slim and Soph, two uni students attempting to sail a lap of Australia while completing our degrees.
We are currently in Darwin after an exciting season of pushing ourselves north up the Great Barrier Reef before turning left across the top of Australia.
And although things mostly went smoothly,
Being on a 40-year-old boat, things tend to break.
our tiller is really not looking great, so we have a few repairs to do. Our main really is hanging on by a thread. It just needs to get us through this season. Seriously, it's probably more tape than sail at this stage.
As well as replacing a few things that are no longer serving us how we hoped they would.
The clock is ticking. We've only got a few weeks until we head into Australia's Wild West.
And if we don't get going pretty damn soon, we're going to be battling into headwinds the whole way. So cross your fingers and your toes with us that these boat jobs go smoothly.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get it. We're going to get into it now.
So here's a list of all we need to do. A new tiller, new anchor, new comms including Starlink and VHF antennas, new mainsail, new tender, new outboard, new anchor light, new running rigging, and fixing bits and bobs. But how on earth are two uni students going to pay for all of this? Well, I shipped Slim off to the mines.
Australia is home to a massive mining industry. Have I ever worked in it before? No. So after crushing an interview, I was straight on a bus and straight out to a ginormous 2-kilometre-ish wide hole in the ground. Wearing full fire retardant PPE, working on a metal platform at 48 degrees was unlike anything I've ever done before. It was an unforgettable experience and gave me an unforgettable paycheck. We would wake up at about 4 AM and head off to the mine for 12-hour days for 14 days straight. Day 1 of 14. Day 1 on the mine site, I'll be able to the cleanest pair of boots in all of Kakadu. In between swings, I would get 7 days off to rest, recover, and work on the boat. The mine I was working at was in the middle of Kakadu National Park, one of Australia's treasures, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is sick. And if you're wondering how on earth they let a mine go ahead there, the mine actually has existed in that location prior to the area being classified as a national park. However, now comes the time they are trying to refurbish the land and hand it back to the traditional owners.
To try to transform this cracked moonscape, 500 hectares wide, into this.
It was a project I was proud to be a part of. When we had little bits of time off, we did get to go explore some of the unique culture of the area. Man, what an epic little morning start before work. I'm so glad we got out of the mine and came out here. Far out, beautiful, beautiful country. There's been wallabies everywhere. We've seen a whole bunch of these little rock wallabies about half the size of Chile. It's kind of like a small squirrel looking kangaroo on a rock. Best way I can describe it. Anyway, the beauty of mining work is that this little stint out here has enabled us to afford a few upgrades we've had our eyes on, as well as pay for textbooks for our next uni semesters and top up the kiddie fund for our next season of adventure. These funds aren't going to be much use to us if we can't steer our boat, so first up on the agenda is fixing the old tiller.
So remember that time when we realised our tiller was broken while we were offshore on our way to Lizard Island? We got crafty with a fishing gaff and some spare line, and we got into Lizard Island safely where we could properly inspect it, and then we realised that our tiller was basically completely rotted through and we got very lucky.
It pretty much is just like hollow on the inside. It's so lucky that we heard that first snap, because one more decent wave on this thing without it splintered, we could have been in a lot more trouble than we were. So we got off pretty lucky with this. And I think we also we did very well with our little repair job, because the repair job we managed to pull off there at Lizard Island did safely, it's been months now, and it got us safely all the way to Darwin, where we are now, toolbox has come out for the first time in a while, going to completely remove it, and we're getting a brand spankin new tiller made, and this one will eventually become the spare that we never had.
Something pretty cool has happened. This is Peter.
Hi, how you going?
One of our regular viewers who happens to be a carpenter and a wood-bending magician. He very kindly offered to be the craftsman of our new tiller.
Thank you, Peter. Honestly, you
legend.
are a legend. We really, 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 really appreciate you offering to do this
that.
for us.
And we will definitely take advantage of the offer.
So our job today is to remove this old tiller, measure her up, and send Peter all the details he needs to get into it.
So the thing that caused the rot in the first place was an old autopilot mount on the tiller, and obviously all the screw holes were allowing water into the wood, and so that whole area where there was about 4 different screw bolts, that whole area was basically, once we'd cleaned it out, almost hollow. So we suspect that the other screws that are in the tiller, there's probably a high possibility that it's also rotted there too. So we're super grateful that it has gotten us all the way to Darwin, and we're definitely ready for a new one.
Although the hard work has been lifted from our shoulders, boats have a tendency to make even the simplest of tasks unnecessarily complicated and time-consuming.
We thought it would just be as easy as unscrewing this, but it seems like it's not going to be like that.
So out come the power tools to swiftly implement Plan B, drilling these old bolts out.
Alright, may I have a hammer?
Hammer.
Okay, so I have no idea whatsoever why, but it's not punching through to the other side. So my new plan is I'm just going to drill off both the sides and then lift the tiller straight out.
Plan C.
Yeah, we're on to Plan C.
Plan C,
so
let's
Plan
go.
C, it involves 2 more drillings.
This is the one.
Honestly, man.
This is the one.
The simple thing of undoing a screw.
Well, at least we know that those bolts weren't going anywhere. If anything, it would have been the tiller that melted away from the bolts. Those things are sturdy as.
I reckon. Bring this out here.
Hey!
Oh.
Oh, it's like removing a limb.
It's not very nice.
Yeah.
Hidden in behind stock and all that was starting to crack.
No, definitely dewy.
Definitely due.
We're so lucky, hey.
Far out.
We're so lucky we got away with what we did.
A Nimbus 2000, but look at him.
Oh no, that's definitely got to go in the museum.
That's going in the straight to the pool room, eh?
Yeah.
So here's to our very first tiller. Thanks for safely steering us thousands of miles and to so many beautiful places. You'll always hold a special place in our hearts.
Our first baby. I'm really looking forward to the new one, but I think I will miss this rustic vintage.
Now it's just a matter of measuring her up. And while Peter starts making some motions on his end, we would like to thank Naming This Later for jumping on board and sponsoring this video.
The reason why we love Naming This Later sponsoring our videos is because they're a bunch of local Aussie legends that are not too far similar to ourselves, and we genuinely love their rugs. We never thought that we needed these in our lives until we got them. To be able to take them on adventures like this and to have comfort at a waterfall and a comfortable space to sit on a rock while you're enjoying the beautiful outdoors. Not only that, but I've said this before and I will say it again, Nakama's upholstery is absolutely shocking, and I've been begging for new upholstery for years and years and years. However, it's not on the top of our priority list because there's so many other boat jobs that need to be done on the boat. So Naming This Later help hide that horrible upholstery and adds a beautiful pop of color to replace it. Another cool thing is that the rugs are made from 100% recycled cotton, and that's one of the reasons why we back them so hard.
They also come in a range of different colours, are completely machine washable and also reversible, so you're getting 2 for 1.
Anyway, if you want your Naming This Later rug, use our code and you can get $15 off your order.
And after just 90 seconds, Peter put the final touches on the tiller.
Just putting the second coat of resin on this.
See? We told you he was a magician.
like a glove.
That fits like a glove, eh?
It's like a glove, eh?
Almost, Peter. We had to make just a few adjustments to help the tiller squeeze into the rudder stock, but we take full responsibility for this.
Peter did he was worried that it wouldn't fit. I feel bad. I sent him some very rough photos and some very rough non-carpenter measurements, and somehow from the other side of the country he managed to make us a near perfect fit. I honestly think the only reason it didn't fit is because of the epoxy he put on to waterproof it for us. So now I have to redo that. So I had to sand it back and then account for that epoxy. So stellar, out of this world carpentry skills to somehow make this for us remotely on the measurements I gave him while rushing off to work. Anyway, now I'm going to drill some holes in it.
Oh yeah, fits like a glove.
So yes, Peter has bravely handed us a pristine, glossy new tiller that so far we have torn into with a sander.
So Soap's going to eyeball this.
And now, in order to mount the tiller, we're about to drill holes in it.
How will that work?
Although this sounds like an easy job, drilling a straight line through the existing holes in the thick copper stock and then trying to meet perfectly on the opposing side is really testing my ability to drill with a steady hand. I don't want Peter's brand new tiller looking like a block of Swiss cheese, and I really want to nail this first time.
Yeah. Yay! He's done it!
Yes!
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen, straight through.
I'm stoked with that. I thought that was going to be... Anyway, let's get a bolt in there so that one lines up and then I'll do the next one.
I'm using this guy here on the other side for a guide for Simon to be able to see that he's in line with the hole on the other side.
So the trick now is to ensure the tiller doesn't end up with a rotten core. I want to try and get this as right as I can first time round.
And like as watertight as possible so we're not having the same problems that we did with our old tiller.
Slim and Soph are getting a little bit more particular with boat work. Our previous track record with boat jobs consisted of lots of duct tape, zip ties and Sikaflex.
Just sicker the f*** out of it, mate.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. The odd tinfoil fuse and carrots as bungs, and well, if in doubt, we'd just add more Sikaflex. Sikaflex take 2. My friend sent Sikaflex the f*** out of it. I didn't want it looking messy, so I just regular Sikaflexed it. Now I'm eating my last words, so I'm going to Sikaflex the f*** out of it this time. But we're turning a new leaf, and we're even starting to think ahead. Just going to fill those holes. I've drilled them out a little bit wider than they need to be. I'm going to try and paint them with some resin and then paint the rest of the tiller that I've sort of sanded back in the hopes that it will be completely schmicko and waterproof. And then whatever's still left in the holes, I'll just drill back out with the correct size drill bit, and then that way I should have a completely waterproof housing for the bolts and we won't have issues in the future again of rot. That should hopefully do it. If my planning's correct, I'll be able to drill out the excess resin, leaving behind a perfectly sealed hole. That was perfect. And just like that, Nakama has a brand new stick to swivel the turning board again.
Seriously, a massive thank you to Peter for putting his time, energy and skill into helping us get Nakama back on the water again. To bend and shape each strand of wood is no easy task, and something we are grateful we didn't have to tackle ourselves in between study. So, thank you again, Peter. One new tiller installed. Up next, you guessed it, a new anchor. Although our anchor held us tight in some pretty gnarly weather, like in this storm that gusted to 70 knots, It's just very hit or miss as to what ground it will hold in. Too often we've had to reset, then reset again after the last reset didn't set, and so on, until maybe we would hold or maybe not.
We anchored once, we didn't hold. Twice, we didn't hold. 3 times, we didn't hold. This is our 4th. I've lost count. We're still not holding.
And have to pull an all-nighter on anchor watch. The last straw was drawn just out the front here in Darwin as we were in 5 meters of water with all of our 60 meters of chain out and continuously dragged towards the lee shore. As our whole entire world is hanging from this heavy lump of metal, we need an anchor with credibility and the ability to hold in all types of ground. So in the back of Miles's car, you remember Miles? Yep, he made it to Darwin too, and this is his car. We will find our new anchor and 88 meters of chain. He paid extra for the boot that makes expensive marine items magically appear. Cheers, Miles.
I'm sure Miles will be very impressed with us with the amount of weight we've just put in his boot.
Whoa. Even in a trolley, it's pretty heavy. I've been battling this chain into a car in the Gold Coast, out of the car in Brisbane, onto a pallet in Brisbane, and now off a pallet in Darwin in some random car park, and then into the car, out of the car and into this trolley. There's only one more battle to go and it's on the boat, where it'll all be worth it. We've already been on an adventure together, me and this chain, and we've got many more to come.
So yes, we've opted to upgrade our chain too, as last season had us anchoring in depths where we required more scope. In one instance, we were in 16 meters of water with 20 knots of wind and swell wrapping around the island. This was the first and only time we threw out the extra 20 meters of road we attached to our chain back in Airlie Beach. This almost had us lose our entire ground tackle. As we woke in the morning, we found our safety line we attached to the chain no longer attached to the chain, and the road almost chafed through. Since then, extra chain has been on our minds.
I was gonna just feed it straight from this in through the goes around in circles and loads train in the boat thing, windlass. But I want to paint it and mark it and everything like that. And now I'm just had the realization that it's out again. It's going to go on the ground so we don't break the trolley overnight, and then we'll feed into the windlass once I've painted it. So our relationship continues to blossom like a flower and age like a fine bottle of wine. Me and this chain. We've got more treats in the car, so back to the car. Ta-da! I'm dropping.
So you might be able to guess by the shape of this bubble wrap what we got, but stay tuned for the grand reveal.
This morning, first job on the agenda for me is I'm going to lay this chain out, mark it every 10 meters, and then I also put some coloured zip ties. Everyone sort of has their own method. I find this works really well, and it's what I like to do. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'd see I do this probably like once a year. So lay the new chain out. Feels wrong taking spray paint to it straight away. It looks so shiny and beautiful and galvanized, but I'm gonna, yeah, make it my own, mark her up, and then we'll load it in and swap the anchors out. Finding the end is going to be interesting. Found it. Everything was running smoothly and according to my master plan. Until that is, I tried to offload the old chain. Yep. Yep, the windlass is jammed. Our windlass is seized rock solid. I tried everything from hooking it up to a sheet and winching the thing off. Nothing would happen. Such is boat jobs. Been out here so long that I've had to take the singlet off, put a shirt on because I was getting sunburnt. I've upgraded my hat. I'm in for the long haul. I can't get this windlass to budge. And in a moment of frustration became a moment of genius. I literally just went like that and it did the job.
Sick.
I've got my hand on the pawl inside because I don't want to lose it, because it was just a frustration thing. It was probably a silly idea coming down holding ball bearings in with a finger. But anyway, I brought some marine grease yesterday, so I guess I'm servicing the winch now.
Things take a turn, don't they?
Oh, I hate boats. The day's starting to look good again. I've cleaned every nook and crevice of this winch and greased her right back up. Let's just hope she works now. Moment of truth. It's never been so smooth. Righto, with that out of the way, I can move on with my day. It's back to manhandling chain. Right, so we're about to do the anchor reveal, but if you haven't already been able to tell, then either you're not a sailor and you're forgiven, or you've been living under a rock that you dragged into when your other anchor didn't hold. We went with a rocker. I'm really excited.
Slim's pretty excited, so if you didn't hear him clearly, yep, we went with a rock knot. And what is this sparkling chain?
Titan anchor chain to go with our new rock knot. Little Kong swivel, blending them together, making the relationship impenetrable, just like our night's sleep.
But it's not any good to us sitting here, so let's get her on board. And most importantly, folks, make sure you actually attach your chain and anchor to your boat. Unbelievably, this mistake is more common than you think.
Right, so this is a Kong swivel. We've never had a swivel on the anchor before, so this is going to be a massive luxury. It's quite ingenious how it all fits together, really. The instructions, there's multiple, I guess, ideas on what to do, but I've been explained one that seems to make logical sense to me. So the plan is not to mount the swivel directly to the anchor, as this will restrict its effective range of movement. So some people put like a spree of chain on between this and the anchor, but the pin in the swivel is too thick to fit between the links in our 8mm chain, so we've placed it on a shackle that will then attach to the anchor. Considering we're heading into some of the strongest tidal flows in the world, the boat's likely going to be spinning all over the place at times when we're on anchor. This swivel here should hopefully assist in the chain not ending up as a tangled, twisted mess. Sweet. We're going to do a reveal. This is taking longer than expected, as everything does, so it's going to be a little bit of a dark reveal. A reveal nonetheless.
We're not going to rabbit on about this new anchor too much until we've put it to the test, but there is a word spreading through the yachting community, and that word has made its way around to us. And every time we are resetting or dragging anchor, we can hear Miles whispering in our ears,
Just get a rock now.
She look good?
Yeah.
All of the rest of her stainless looks like bad in comparison. Like it's too shiny. We keep leaving you hanging. We'll have to come back in the morning and do a daylight reveal.
Alright, finally for the daylight reveal, this is our new Rockner. It's a 20 kilo Rockner. We probably could have gotten away with a 15, but we could fit a 20, and I thought that why not go big, and then we will be going home to a very stable bed. 15 would have done the trick probably, but I just wanted the 20 because it's bigger. Righto guys, with anchoring sorted and our steering back in action, we are one step closer to tackling the west coast of Australia. A massive thank you to our patrons for making each and every week possible, and a special thanks to Naming This Later for contributing to this episode. If you're enjoying the episodes guys, please feel free to subscribe, and if you're really enjoying the episodes, check out our patrons page. A little goes a long way, and for the price of a coffee you can really help to keep the continuance of this show alive. Tune in next week to see what else we can get crossed off the list, and we'll see you then.
bye guys!